Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Three Geeks interview. Today we got Eric Goins from Stargirl here to talk about his career and the show. How you doing today?
I'm good. Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad we got this opportunity. So we'll start with the basics. How did you get involved with Stargirl?
Oh, well, I'm an actor, so I auditioned. So that's pretty much the day in, day out of it. And, I got an audition for, something I didn't really know what it was. I didn't know the project. I didn't know the character. It's interesting because a lot of people talk about, the character, the gambler. Well, I didn't actually present that character to Jeff or anyone until we were shooting episode 2. Like, I didn't audition with the character. I didn't audition with the voice. None of it. Like, it was TBD. I just did the best I could on my audition. And so maybe 2 days later, I got a call from my agent saying, hey, they'd like to bring you on. Do you accept the role? Of course. Yeah. I'm in. And then 30 minutes later, I still didn't really know what it was. 30 minutes later, I get a call from a number I don't recognize, and it's Jeff Johns. And he's like, welcome to the show. Just want to tell you a little bit about your character. And it went from oh, this is so fun to what have I, this is amazing. So yeah, to get a call like that from Jeff Johns was unbelievable. So that's how I entered the world of DC and Stargirl.
Can you explain a little bit about what powers, what characteristics, what traits the gambler has for those listening at home?
Oh, yeah. Very few. Very few useful skills within the supervillain world. I think it's really interesting. Like, a lot of people, so most of the supervillains and the superheroes, they all have kind of superhuman qualities. They have a ring that gives them great abilities, or a cape. They can fly. They're very good with weapons. They've been, they're a metahuman. They're better than a human. And what's interesting with the gambler is he doesn't have any of those. He's got a outdated Derringer and his wits and his intellect, which I think, for me as an actor, it really made it. It makes him almost more dangerous in my mind, because he doesn't have those type of skills to fall back on. So he really has to always play the long game, and which makes him more manipulative and makes him a little bit more dangerous in a way, because he's always doing what he has to do in the moment to get what he wants as an end game. And for the gambler, it's just, it's money, it's possession. There's no redeeming quality to this guy. Which is really dangerous. And I like that aspect of the gambler, that he doesn't have this extra human quality to fall back on. He really has to play a chess game, which is so intriguing to me with the character.
Cool. Did you get a big stack of comic books? Here's everything that says Stargirl, or has ever said Stargirl in it. You can read it if you want to. Did you get into comic books at all? Since you got the job, or have you picked up anything just from the source material? And how, has it sparked anything from there where you're I can go and read something else now because I actually enjoyed these 5 Stargirl comics?
Yeah, I find that I'm gambling a lot more.
Online, just video.
I've lost a fortune gambling online.
You can call. We'll put the line number.
Yeah. No, actually, I have it on speed dial.
Okay, that's good. That's good, man. Get all the help you need, man. For real.
When Jeff originally explained the character and the role, he did a real good job of defining where the character falls within the show and who that character is. And then from that, what I did was I went online and just did some research. And there's not a ton of information about the gambler online. There's a very well documented Wikipedia page, and there's some fan sites, and the DC site had some information. I've always been into superheroes and DC. I mean, I grew up watching like the George Reeves Superman show, Adam West Batman, the really like long time ago Shazam.
Okay.
I mean, I'm like one of the greatest American hero is like one of the shows that I watched as a kid, like first airing kind of thing. So I've always been enthusiastic about it. I don't have a ton of comic books, and I think that's just more a lack of execution on my part. Like I enjoy, like I really enjoy graphic novels, and I love the world of superheroes. So I love every movie, every show. I can watch it forever. Like somebody asked me the other day, what do you think about all the new Batmans, like the multiple Batmans all coming to fruition, telling multiple stories? I was like, it's awesome. It's more content. Like I'm in, right? So that's kind of how I view it. But I did my research. Yeah. I looked into who the Gambler was, and the Gambler has never spoken like in a 3-dimensional sense. So nobody has ever brought that character, breathed life into that character. So it gave me a lot of freedom, but also a lot of responsibility to stay true to the character. And then I had conversations with Jeff to make sure that I was, on point, because Jeff is he's the final source on all things DC. I mean, the guy it's amazing. The information he has and the detail of the information that he has is just unbelievable, because he basically created it. But so between those sources, I was able to kind of create my vision of who I thought this guy was. And I thought, because of the way he dresses and carries himself, the fact that he's a gambler means he's got to be charismatic, and he's got to have some confidence to him, because you can't gamble, you can't play poker, do anything without having confidence and charisma. But then there's also got to be an element of he's always hiding something. So, and people who hide things, in my opinion, they're always smiling and they're always hiding what's going on the inside, because they don't want you to know that they're scared or upset or getting ready to become aggressive. They just want you to think everything's okay. So between all those sources, I felt like I had a good deal of information, but I don't think there are like stacks of comic books that you could like learn about the Gambler. The Stargirl, yes, but not the Gambler, which posed a little bit of a challenge, but it was also kind of freeing and fun.
That's cool too. You get to be the one to kind of like, now when people think about the Gambler, like they're going to think about you. You're really the only one who's made the character. So like that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is. It's really cool. I mean, there's a lot of responsibility to it, and but it's a lot of fun, and to be a part of this community that is so supportive to the characters and engaging. Like this community engages with the show and the stories, and that's just been so rewarding, so much fun.
And I wanted to just say, you mentioned this already, kind of the freedom it takes to kind of build that character up, especially since you're kind of making him flesh and blood for the first time ever in any media. I was curious because you have, as I understand, you have a background in improv.
Yes.
And so I'm wondering, like, how often do you get to really kind of pull from that well for a lot of your gigs or a lot of your jobs? Like, is it a very, like you were mentioning, sort of a collaborative process with Jeff and the showrunners there to craft the character? Or are there moments where they let you just kind of go wild and come up with your own ideas?
Yeah. I would say that the entire show, everybody in production was incredibly generous about collaboration. I mean, the writers do the writing. So I think it's critically important that we all stick to the writing per se, because they're writing the voices of characters that people are so familiar with that they know the voice. James Robinson, Jeff Johns, they know what these characters will say, and they know how the story should go. That being said, the delivery method in which you say those lines and the intent that you put behind the words generally becomes the actor's opportunity. And so there was a lot of opportunity to kind of really run with my interpretation of those lines. I mean, I've been doing improv for over 20 years now, live in front of an audience of anywhere from 120 to one time I did a show for 12,000 people, which is crazy, right? But I think that improv allows you to, first of all, improv allows you to take direction really well and like engross yourself in it, because you're constantly being told by an audience, do this, do that, do this, do it like this, do it more like this, do it less like this. And so you get used to taking that direction and really engaging with it and totally engrossing yourself in the direction. But improv also helps you to like create life between your lines and when you're not speaking, which I think is for an actor is really, really important, because that's the character living when nobody's watching and the character's not speaking. Mm-hmm. So that way, when the character does speak, you're not kind of going, oh yeah, here's my line. It's like, I've been in it for like 5 minutes now. It's all comes out natural. Like I'm in it. Yeah, let's do it. And so I think it's a funner experience for the actor, because you're living this character for a longer period of time, not from line to line, but throughout the entire scene and throughout the entire take, which is what I think improv helped me to really, really develop.
So what I'm hearing is, now that you're on the CW, you should really be, we should get you auditioned for Whose Line Is It Anyway?
I love that show. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I think Wayne Brady is one of the greatest performers, minds, entertainers that I've seen in a long, long time. I mean, he is incredible. And all those guys are really great. A lot of them, a few of them actually perform at an improv theater here in Atlanta every once in a while. Colin Mockery being one of them. Right. I love that show. Absolutely. You know, the biggest difference between that show and the show I typically do is, like, you know, I would imagine that in their show they get to go, all right, cut, let's try that again. And in a live environment, you don't get to do that. And it's not minimizing what they do, but I think there'd be a lot of fun and a lot of like experiment and like finding new things in that kind of environment where you get to go, oh, okay, yeah, that didn't work very well, but I know how to make it better. So yeah, I would love to do that.
So kind of along the lines of like long form improv and things, but I can't imagine a crowd of 12,000 people, like, not only committing to building up a character that you're making up on the spot, but also committing to mistakes you make along the way.
Oh, yeah.
Owning those mistakes and being like, incorporate them, work with them. It's like,
the other thing is, with 12,000 people, you have to go ahead and make an agreement with yourself that you're not going to entertain all of them. And they're not all going to like you. So you have to release that and go, okay, yeah, I'll just, hopefully these 20 people up here in the front like me. So, because they're the only faces I can see.
You know, there's a lot of us anyway, apparently, because you got to be able to hear them. So,
yeah.
You know,
yeah.
like,
yeah.
That's, you're like, well, most of the people said this, I gave them that. That's we can hope for it. But
I like that philosophy of you're not going to entertain everybody too, because welcome to the life of a YouTuber as well.
Totally.
So what's it like working with the talented cast? Because, you know, you guys got a lot of different characters on the set and a lot of different kind of interactions between those characters. So what's it like working with them?
Really collaborative and fun. Like, I would say, my experience, I worked mainly with the ISA. So generally all my scenes are with Neil Jackson, who plays Icicle, Nelson, Neil Hopkins, Joy. For the most part, all my scenes are with them. And I can speak to those relationships, and it was unbelievable. Like, it was so much fun spending time with them off camera and just getting to know them. And I think that shows up on camera because our relationships were really good, which gave us freedom to speak to each other, and like we'd known each other for a long time, which the ISA theoretically has. They've known each other, so everything's not sterile and businesslike. They kind of like poke at each other a little bit, right? Like the scene between Joy, Neil, and myself at the football game, where I, you know, throwing garbage on the ground, and you know, Joy's like, you know, pick up your trash. It just feels like we've known each other for a long time. And I think those relationships were kind of fostered offset. I love those guys. Neil Jackson is a consummate pro. He's so caring and focused on doing well that it's hard not to follow his lead. Like, we were always talking between takes and really collaborating, which was cool.
And obviously you're excited that the show has been picked up for season 2.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the gambler makes it through, and it benefits the gambler as he's so desperately, he always wants to be involved. But should he make it, yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the cast and crew no matter what, because mostly I'm excited for Jeff because this show means so much to him, and it's so important. And, I mean, I'm just assuming. It seems like he poured everything into it. I mean, the guy, I don't know that he slept for 7 months because he was working here in Atlanta, going to LA to see dailies and do some editing, then back to Atlanta. I mean, and it was like he was here the whole time, but there's no way he was because
he actually he snorts Speed Force.
Yeah. I don't know what the guy does.
He's existing at all the times at all times.
Yeah. There may be 3 Jeff Johns. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just wondering because since there's going to be a season 2, and I know they're talking, it's going to be airing on CW actually the second season. You played a guest role on an episode of Black Lightning, as I understand.
Yeah,
I never saw that. But I'm just curious. Did your character make it by the end?
did my on Black Lightning? Yeah, my character in Black Lightning did not get crushed. That I know of. I don't think so.
Because as I understand it, a lot of CW shows, they're all in the same universe now. So could there be potential for you to meet? You could meet yourself, maybe.
Oh, how interesting! That would be awesome. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah,
bring it up to Jeff Johns next time you're talking to him. Just be like, since it's already there.
Yeah. Well, I got a great idea for a storyline.
Yeah,
the gambler meets this meek, shy, timid dermatologist in the world of Black Lightning. It's awesome. What can we do with that?
Would he be disgusted at his other stuff?
Yeah. The gambler needs to get rid of a skin tag or something.
Do you think that would go would he entice your Black Lightning character to do some of the the dirtier things that he do you think he would set him on a path of destruction, or would he just remain this meek little dermatologist?
There's no chance that the dermatologist would remain meek and mild given the influence of the gambler, or the dermatologist would be completely destroyed and manipulated to have nothing at the end of their relationship.
I mean, you could just pitch to Jeff, here's the show. Dermatologist, meek and mild, supervillain over the top, takes chances, send them on a country-long road trip. See how you like one season. There you go.
Yeah, it's like a modern-day Thelma and Louise.
There you go.
Eric, if I could ask a question real quick about your background. You spent years kind of in the corporate world, from what I read. And it wasn't until the late 90s that you decided to make a shift into doing acting. So I guess the big question is, why did you make that shift? What did you say? I'm done with the corporate world. I want to act. What caused that? What was the catalyst?
I had all these suits.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that at all. It was actually just fate and kind of following my instincts. So, I worked in the corporate world for a long time. I went to college. I was actually I was pre-med in college. I have a bachelor's of science in biology. And then I got out of college and made another choice to go in a different direction. And then about a year later, I made another choice to go in a different direction. And I just started working in the corporate world. In 98, my friends took me to an improv show for my birthday. And I sat in the back row. I'd never been to an improv show. And I sat in the back and just watched these actors perform. And I was like, man, this looks so much fun. I want to try it. And so they actually had auditions to take class. Like the theater I was going to you had to audition for class. It was crazy. And I'd never been to an audition before. I'd never done anything like that. I'd never had any inkling that I would enjoy it. I think when I look back on my life now, there were some pretty there were some pretty big roadmap signs that said that I liked entertaining, and but I think my circle of people around me, like teachers and adults, I think they kind of interpreted it as like I was acting out as opposed to I just needed to express myself. So, arts in school is important. But because I didn't really have much arts per se growing up. And so I think people misinterpreted my behavior. But when I look back, I was always entertaining people in classes and doing pretty outlandish things to get people's attention and make people laugh. But I auditioned for class and I got in. They auditioned 120 people. They accepted 60. I had never had an audition before. And what happened was I really kind of like bought into the concepts of improv. And those concepts are like, yes, anding your partner. So like accepting when any person gives you, acknowledging it, and then adding information to work with them in a collaborative way. Like that's a pretty good lesson for life, right? So I bought into it, like hook, line, and sinker. And then no judgment. So like not judging the people around you, because if you walk on stage with them in an improv scene, your improv scene is going to be less than good because you're going to be busy judging the person instead of being present and working together. And then that judgment kind of extending to like, don't judge yourself. Like we're so hard on ourselves sometimes. And I have creative things I want to express to the world, and that's good. So I should express them to the world and not let other people's opinions of those thoughts and ideas affect me. Those are huge lessons, and I bought into it so hard. And the only thing I can explain is that the chemistry in my brain changed. Like I was very used to functioning in an operational way, like A plus B equals C, do this, do this, do this, get this result. And then all of a sudden I was like, pie plus strawberry waffle equals unicorn, right? And I'm like, this is so much more fun. This is a better way to live life. So I bought into it like hook, line, and sinker. And it changed every other element of my life, which was really amazing. Like I never expected it. So as a result, I was so interested in the process of improv. I was never worried about the product. So I was never worried about like getting into a cast or making it into the show or anything that like engages like this product driven motivation. I was like, I'm having fun right here where I'm at. This is good enough for me. And I think as a result, like I had a lot of success in improv. Like I got into a cast. They took that 60 group of people and they whittled it down to 6 people and they made a cast, and nobody knew they were doing that. And because I think I was focused on the process, not the product, I ended up being in that cast. And so I bought into it big time. And there came a day about 3 years into like my improv journey that it was starting to conflict with my job, because if you've ever done improv, you know that you perform like Tuesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and like they're late nights. Like it is like on Friday night you go in at 6 p.m. and you come home at 3 a.m. And so it was starting to affect my ability to make a living. And so I said I have to walk away from improv because I'm going to lose my job, and that's bad. And so I was profoundly unhappy for an entire year. And like, I know that because the people I was around were telling me it. Like, they're like, why are you so unhappy all of a sudden? And the only thing I could put my finger on was like, I'm not doing improv. That must be it. So about a year, almost to the day, events unfolded that literally like somebody called me out of the blue and was like, hey, I was walking around the booth, like the lighting booth, and I saw a picture of you in the lighting booth. And I'm like, why do you have a picture of me in the lighting booth? That's weird. But I was, I was like, what is that all about? Why is my picture up? Whatever, dude. To be fair, it was a group of all of us. And so I basically went and had a drink with this person, and by the end of the cocktail, I was back at the theater. And I made a decision that day that if I was ever given the choice to choose like doing the quote unquote responsible thing and like figuring out how to pay my bills and moving forward with my heart and what was feeding my soul, I was going to choose the latter. I was going to choose feeding my soul, feeding what I needed to move forward. About 8 months to a year later, I got laid off from my job. And I was like, this is it. This is the universe, like totally telling me what I'm supposed to be doing. Less than a week later, I got a job offer from some other company, making more money, doing cooler stuff. I was a creative director. So what's interesting is my journey went from literally like I was doing operations at Coca-Cola. Like I was on a computer all day, logging into my computer, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., scheduling installs of Coca-Cola equipment, to being a creative director with no formal training. How that happened, I have no idea. But it's just, my thinking had changed, and like I was more creative. And so I got an offer to like, design cooler things, make more money, working with a bigger company. And I said, no. I just said, I'm sorry, I'll have to pass. And for some reason, I mean, I think I know why, but as soon as I made that last decision, things just fell in place for me. Like the improv theater that I was working at, that I returned to, they're like, hey, do you want to teach kids classes this summer? And I was like, does it pay? And they're like, yeah. Okay, I'm in. Then they're like, do you want to teach adult classes? Like, does it pay? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, I'm in. And then before you knew it, then like someone at the theater offered me a job to go to bartend at the restaurant she was managing. I was like, does it pay? And it was like, I'm in. And all of a sudden, all these blocks got put in place for me that just made it really easy to move forward. And then about 3 years after that, I got a call from a friend of mine that I was doing improv with, and he's like, hey, listen, I'm at this audition, and I swear they're looking for someone just like you. And I was like, well, I don't have an agent. I'm not an actor. I'm an improviser. And he's like, well, just take a headshot, send it to me, and I think you should come to this audition. And so I took this awful headshot. It's terrible. It's like my head is like the entire frame, right? Like this. And I'm against a brick wall, and it's out of focus. It's terrible.
How do you demand the entire frame and stay out of focus?
I have no idea.
That's impressive. That's probably why you got hired.
It's probably because I was probably using a box camera, like a disposable camera with no focus, and I was doing it myself. It's horrible. But I took it, and I went to the audition, and I got a call back, which means that, they're like, okay, we're going to narrow it down and see these people again. And that was me. And so the agent signed me as a talent. So just in case I booked it, I was on their roster, and they got commission, and I still have that agent today.
Is it like a lawyer? Like if you get in trouble, if you do not have an agent, one will be provided for you.
Oh yeah. There are thousands of actors that wish that were the case. If you don't have an agent, we'll get you one. Yeah. Wouldn't it be great if it was that easy?
Hey, look, agents. There's a market out there for you to be just like a blanket agent.
Yeah.
Like, okay, there's 400 people who I've attached my name to.
Yeah. Some of them are actors, some of them aren't.
Do you need warm bodies? I'm your guy.
Yeah. I'm still going to get commission if they make something. I don't know.
Totally.
They don't know about it. Might be shady. We don't know yet.
It's like the terms on Apple where you just go, yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, just download my stuff. Yes. Yeah. Turn my computer on. I accept.
I think I'm gonna start this up. I will bid agency.
Hey, speaking of computers, real quick, Eric, you were on Halt and Catch Fire. Did you learn anything about technology while you were on that show?
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember any of it right now.
There's a test right now.
Yeah, because there's a test. Yeah, we're from AMC. We're testing you on what you learned. I did. I kind of grew up in the 80s, and that was kind of like, that was a really cool time for me, and doing that show was a lot of fun. I did learn a little bit of stuff because they actually had subject matter experts on set every day, making sure that A, it looked appropriately, and B, they would tell us, like, if they put something in front of me and I was supposed to deliver a line that made no sense to me because it was all jargon, that person would step in and go, well, this is what it means. It means that you see this, that's what that's called, and that's what this called. And like, I didn't even know what halt and catch fire meant. That's a term. Halt and catch fire is what they called it when like computers would just like crash, done. They would just ramp up and done. And so I never knew that, and I learned that on the show. So I'm smarter for that. It was a great experience. Halt and catch fire was awesome.
Cool. Excellent.
Well, Eric, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us. It's been a lot of fun. We're on this streak of amazing guests, and you just keep that streak going. So thank you.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. You know, it is such a joy to be on these things with people who care so much about these shows and these characters. I think that's one of the most rewarding parts of this is like getting to meet new people in this very supportive community of people who are just generally nice and like just care about the story. And that's cool. I enjoy it. So thank you.
I'm going to turn to a complete geek real quick. You were in The Watch.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you by any chance get to meet Richard Ayoade? I think that's how you say his last name. He's the guy with the crazy afro.
No. So in The Watch, my only scene was with Ben Stiller.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. No, what a bummer. No, he was great. He was awesome. Ben Stiller was
I was just curious. I'm a huge fan of his from the IT Crowd, and when I saw he was going to be in an American movie, I was so excited. I'm like, this is it. This guy's going to break out, and unfortunately he did not. But I'm just curious to see if you met him or not.
I didn't get a chance to meet him. I'm sorry. No.
Eric, do you have any social media where people can follow you?
Yeah. Instagram is probably the best place. It's _Eric_Goins, Goins. _Eric_Goins is Instagram. And then my website is ericgoins.com. So not too hard to remember.
Thank everybody for tuning in, listening. We appreciate it. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, leave a review. Have a great day.
Please recycle your droids.